Hi, I'm Louis Paul. It's The Colors of Prague, Season 5, Episode 6. The subject this time is psychedelic prog and country music. I've always wanted to cover a show about psychedelic music or music influenced by psychedelic music, and um, and to do it within a reasonable length of time. Like I try to keep these pretty short. Anyway, in the USA, in the United States at least, psychedelic music was born in the USA out of a combination of styles: Western country music, jazz, the blues, and those that experimented with combining all of those. Um, then, of course, drugs became influence on the sound. So there's that. Some of the earliest psychedelic music bands were even considered avant-garde at the time. And when the addition of mind-altering substances, lengthy jams resulted. Um, some what's referred to as free jazz definitely is thought to be psychedelic in some way. In the US, at least, some of the most popular psychedelic bands were the Grateful Dead, Jefferson Airplane. Although for the Airplane, their live performances could be charitably called or referred to as chaotic. And then there's bands too numerous to mention. Remember Blood Rock, whose second album had a track called DOA about the aftermath of a plane crash. Yeah, Blood Rock. The Byrds were one of the first bands to experiment with more popular sounds. In other words, they often chose Bob Dylan songs, and they covered Bob Dylan songs uh, on their first two albums, and then a lot of them actually, and then they would add others on later albums. It opened up their sound tremendously with McGuinn's 12-string Rickenbacker sound. Uh, Roger McGuinn is known for that very particular ringing tone. Slowly, the Byrds moved over to country and western, but not as we know it now. This was a more organic sound, born from the collision of country blues, country music, and artists like Booker White, Hank Williams, uh, and others. Skipping over Elvis Presley's very popular reinterpretation of his version of country and blues, which some say birthed rock and roll, the Byrds evolved with the coming of Graham Parsons. They became a more, for lack of a better word, countrified band. And there was still a mighty sway in the Byrds sound at the time. Sweetheart of the Rodeo, often referred to as their greatest album, is quite interesting. But Parsons didn't stay with the Byrds long, and members came and left, returned, and then left again. Parsons then did a short stint with the Flying Burrito Brothers. That was his band after the Byrds. And then he would befriend, of all people, Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones. And it's been said that Parsons' musical influence and his guitar playing style clearly can be heard on some of the Rolling Stones albums, like Sticky Fingers and particularly Exile on Main Street, which was recorded in an estate in France for tax reasons and is a legendary drug-fueled story all its own. Parsons often sat in and jammed late in the morning, um, and his musical influence leaned heavily onto Keith Richards, but that's a legendary story. Nearly little known to anyone out of the UK, they were having their own psychedelic explosion in Great Britain. Surely the Beatles dabbled on Rubber Soul, Revolver, and the White Album, and most famously Sergeant Pepper, but the Stones took a deep dive full on with the sound on Her Satanic Majesty's Request, which took some fans decades to appreciate. And not everybody still loves that one. Some call it a failed mistake, uh, but it's nowadays referred to as quite the revolutionary album. Concurrently, music venues in the UK, like the UFO Club, were showcasing homegrown British bands experimenting with their own brand of psychedelia. Most famously, we had the early Pink Floyd, the Pretty Things, who claim in their number a founding Rolling Stone member in guitarist Dick Taylor. Dick Taylor was a bass player in the Rolling Stones, but the Pretty Things, he became a guitar player. But still deeper, one-shot bands, some still starting out, and those looking for a hit in the crowded marketplace dabbled into the sound. Some of them well-known progressive bands would become known as such. Peephole in My Brain, the British progressive pop sounds of 1971, was recently released on Grapefruit Records. I kid you not. It's a subsidiary of Cherry Records, and they do an excellent job of collecting singles, B-sides, album tracks, and whatnot um, from a given year. So they've done 70, 71, 72. So it's pretty amazing that we have on Peephole in My Brain 72 artists and over 3 hours of music, which is quite a lot. And well enough, they've added a 40-page booklet giving you an idea of who's included in on the songs, what the names of the songs are, so a little bio of each artist, which is really cool. Now, on here is the likes of Hammer Film starlet Dana Gillespie, and who could ever forget her in The Lost Continent from 1968? That was a Hammer Film. On here, she covers Bowie's Andy Warhol, and it's more a Velvet Underground than it is Prog, but it's a good one. Kevin Ayers, Soft Machine, makes an appearance with a single, Stranger in Blue Suede Shoes. And his song is still showing a Velvet Underground influence. And it's interesting. I never thought of many early British bands being influenced by the Velvet Underground, but there you go. I mean, there's quite a lot of that on here. More familiar to progressive rock enthusiasts are Stackridge, Barclay James Harvest, Samurai, Magna Carta, Curved Air, Backstreet Love is on this collection, Procol Harum. Colin Blunstone appears on one of the many solo excursions when the Zombies would break up only to reunite again with them. Caroline Goodbye is on this collection. And it's interesting, it's noted that it's a tribute to his former girlfriend, model, and another Hammer Film actress, Caroline Munro. So Colin Blunstone, when he broke up with her, he wrote a song about Caroline Munro. Very interesting connections being made here. And surprisingly, country blues makes an appearance with Brett Marvin and the Thunderbolts. Kind of a clumsy name. Southbound Love is a song. And who would have thunk it? A collision of psychedelia, progressive music, and country blues. Also on here is ELP, Atomic Rooster, The Kinks, with a song from the Percy soundtrack, Octopus, and so many other bands uh, you're more than likely have never heard of, but it's worth a shot. So if you see this around somewhere, there's probably something on YouTube. I got my set from Amazon at a very reasonable price. Amazon prices tend to go up, they tend to go down, so you can try it out there. I'll try to put a link to a song or two on the at least the Facebook Colors of Prog page, and I'll try to do it on the YouTube page. Which brings me to the gentleman over my shoulder, the sensational country blues wonders. Not a UK-based band, but one from North America, New Jersey to be exact. The sensational country blues wonders is a moniker actually for Gary Van Meert and his band. Originally, a covers band of country and western and country blues songs, the sensational country blues wonders have recorded 3 albums of original songs, of which If I Stop Moving, I'll Fall from the Sky is the latest. And it definitely continues themes from his 2022 release, The Adventures of a Psychedelic Cowboy. This album, this one here, appears to be an ode to ingesting mushrooms and the psychedelic variety, that is. And quite a few of the songs have titles which feature mushrooms on them. Now, think for a oral comparison, if Hank Williams had joined or jammed with Sergeant Pepper era Beatles or Exile era Stones, this is maybe what would have resulted. Yes, late 60s era psychedelic bands might come to mind, like some bands on the old Electro Nuggets collection. But these are all new songs, original songs, and incredibly catchy, infectiously so. Van Meer sent the tracks. He has a band, but he wrote all these songs on his own, and he sent demo tracks or finished tracks over to Nashville, where the addition of full band backing, including some sitar, and do I hear a mellotron on one track? It sounds like one. Um, no, the composer, singer, Gary Van Meert, has said the songs are about the sky, the universe, and altered states of conscience. Uh, this is a veritable collection of psychedelic pop country blues, and it sounds so sweet your teeth might hurt. I mean, this is really good. If you weren't stoned, this is a fine collection of music anywhere, and it's kind of cool. It's like someone put his influences into a blender and coming up with something entirely different but very familiar. Um, there's a couple of great tunes here. I Rode the Bus with Joey Ramone. I think a tune about an imagined bus ride or not, it's a nice change of pace. Again, infectious songs, and that's a recommendation. Um, there's a lot of great tunes on here. Look for links again. I will add to the YouTube post and to the Colors of Prague page on Facebook. And that's pretty much our show for today, I believe. It's a bunch of different stuff, psychedelic, a little history, and where we're at today, where someone just put all the sounds and these influences and influences by all these music British music, American music, country, blues, the Rolling Stones, other bands, and kind of a thing like if you're in a band today and you have influences, there's nothing that can stop you from just doing something original. So that's our show for today. Thanks for watching.